Hey y'all folks, welcome to Performance Matrix Dojo, where I show you exercise tutorials in an entertaining and educational fashion, or at least that's what I try to do so. Please let me know in the comments if you have any feedback or suggestions for these videos on how I can improve. Anyways, let's get right on to it, right? For today's video, I want to show you the Mckenzie press up. This is a mobilization I mainly learned from the Czech Institute, and you're gonna see it's quite similar to the cobra pose from yoga. However, the execution is different, as well as the aim of this movement. So normally I would prescribe this to a client who shows a flat back in an assessment. And it's also important to realize that you don't just want to be doing this exercise randomly just because you have something in your lumbar spine. Because let's say your lumbar spine is in a too much lordosis, and getting into this exercise, you're going to be already putting more compression into the facet joints. That's also important to realize. Whenever you're too extended, you're putting too much pressure on the facet joints, and when you're too compressed, think of like more of a flat back, posterior pelvic tilt, you're putting more stress on the front of the spine, say the discs. So this really is specialized more for people that have this more flat back posture. And to get right into the movement and how you're going to set up, essentially you're going to get into a push-up position like this, but on the ground, prone. So not plank, I mean on the ground like this. But there's a couple of things you want to do differently. It's not like the cobra pose like in yoga, where you're getting this full extension of the spine. There's some key differences that are actually going to make this better for you, more therapeutic. So first, you want to have your hands and wrist at the level of your shoulder. I find even a little bit higher works better. So you don't want to have it like a push-up even here. You want to have it more around there. And basically, you also want to completely relax your legs. Imagine you had an accident and then your legs are completely paralyzed and you just can't move them, like Superman. Like the actor, not actual Superman. Superman's invincible anyways. The second thing is, and I think this is the most important, is how you're going to extend up. So first, you don't want to lead with the head. You want your head to remain simply looking in front of you with a gaze forward, even a little bit down. And then as you push up, you're going to exhale. And as you go down, you inhale. So that's Q1. To synchronize the movement with the breath, pushing up, exhale, and go down, inhale. And notice how my neck is almost not moving at all. You want your head to just be straight forward. You don't want to overextend with the neck or lead with the neck. That's going to overly engage the extensors. And inhale down. And one very important thing when you're doing this movement, you want to think of pushing with your hands up, and also have this intention in your mind when you're doing this movement. Don't think about lengthening the back. Completely forget about the low back and think more about lengthening this side here. So if I show you, just so you see more clearly what I mean, there's a difference between trying to extend from the low back. There you're going to put way more compression in those facet joints, and you're going to feel that tension, as opposed to thinking of lengthening from the chest and the abdominals. It's completely a different sensation, just thinking of expanding and lifting this whole region. That's going to put a stretch in the abdominals, as opposed to trying to lean back and forward, trying to force yourself into extension. That's not what we want. You don't want to force yourself into the position. You want to open up the opposite side as well. Not just thinking of the low back, thinking about everything here, especially this side. Because a lot of this tightness comes from tightness in the not the low back, in the abdominals. And second thing that's also very important is you want your hip bones, the anterior ones here, to be stuck into the ground like super glue is there, and they just can't come up. So you're here, you exhale, push, and you should feel a nice stretch in your abdominals if they're tight. Here I'm putting the intention of lengthening my abdominals. And if I try to force my low back without thinking of the abdominals, I feel all the pressure in my lumbar spine and absolutely nothing in the abdominals. And then I think about lengthening my abdominals, and that just feels so much better. And the range of motion doesn't have to be that much, right? This is the end position, but you can also be all the way here. And also, last thing, don't shrug your shoulders up like that. You want to have them down. Anyways, that's it for the video. So remember the key pointers: hands around shoulder level, think more of the wrist at shoulder level, hips stuck into the ground. Third, when you push up, think about pushing with your hands. Don't shrug your shoulders up, keep them down. And then think of lengthening from this region here, and don't think of moving the back, the lumbar spine. Think of opening up from here, and that's naturally going to create that curvature in the lumbar spine. Don't force yourself into that extension. Go to where it feels quite comfortable, but pushing a little bit beyond your normal range. And lastly, synchronize the breath with the movement. So as you push up, exhale, and as you go down, inhale. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. Have a good one.